Good evening, everyone. My name's Bernicia Tong, and you can find me on Facebook, Bernicia Tong. And the topic today that I have chosen is about the greater consciousness towards spiritual rather than religious. And this is basically my viewpoint going through my spiritual journey. And I'm actually looking for your feedback and views of what you feel how the spiritual side is taking over, if any, the religious side. The reason why I brought up this topic on my spiritual journey, what I found is when I started to wrestle with, because I come from a Christian background, so to speak, and my mum was a very staunch Christian. We had to go to Sunday school and church every Sunday. And I used to ask loads of questions, and I definitely felt that the priest wasn't giving me answers, and some of it didn't make sense. And I don't know why. I always used to wrestle with this, read the Bible from back to front, but it wasn't really giving me answers. It's like you'd sit there as you would normally do, sing the hymns, and then the preacher will get on up on his pulpit and he will say his address or his viewpoint or his sermon for the day. But sometimes some of the things that what the priest would say, I would think, well, you know what? This priest is just a man. Who is he to dictate or berate or to make us feel less than? Because at the end of the day, it's not bringing us as a community together. It's making us feel we're either good, bad, or indifferent. And if we are different, it sort of like pushes in a corner. And for me, that didn't sit well. I didn't understand why, just because you were different, you had to made to feel different. But coming into the spiritual side, it's like the spiritual side embraces all religions, embraces all people, because it makes us understand that nobody's better than everybody else. How do others feel about that? Because for me is we are all brothers and sisters, regardless of color, creed, or country. And for me, it should be about unity, not about dividing us, but uniting us. And the more I feel you go down the spiritual path, for me, from my perspective, the more everything made sense, because no matter who you met on the spiritual path, they filled a little piece of the puzzle in for you, gave you a better understanding from somebody's upbringing, background, Muslim, Sikh. I mix with all races, all colors, because everybody is all about the learning curve. We learn to embrace one another, because if we don't understand that we're brother and sisters, how can we make this world a better place for all? Why should we ridicule others and not bring them into the fold to make them and show them there's another way to make life better, not just for ourselves, but for everybody else around us? How does everybody feel about that? Okay, I can't see anything on the screen. Naughty, naughty. Hello, hello. Yeah. Hi, Stace. Lovely to meet you. Good evening. Hi, Heidi. Lovely to meet you. Hi, Julie Caswell. Lovely to meet you. Okay. Hi, Tony. Good evening, Veronica. Hi, Rashir. Hanby. Kellyanne. Hi, Mary. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's fine. Good evening, Cindy. Lovely to have you here, Pippa. Danielle. Thank you for joining us tonight. Diane, lovely to meet you. Cassie, beautiful photo. Amber, oh, that's cute. Amy, lovely to meet you. Very nice picture. Hasval, lovely to meet you. Janet, good evening. Christine, lovely to meet you tonight. Mary, thank you for joining us. Yvonne, welcome. Kim, lovely to meet you. Maryland, thank you for joining us tonight. Sue, lovely photo. Good holiday, I hope. Hilarious, lovely to meet you. Helen, oh, he's cute. Bernie, evening. Thank you, States. And what's your experience been in the religious side compared to your spiritual side? Oh, from Veronica was exactly the same, Bernicia. Church every Sunday until I was 18. Seemed to do things for dogma rather than principle. Absolutely agree. It's almost felt as it was scripted. It's like, and when you challenge the narrative, they couldn't give you something else. It's almost as if you had it embedded in your brain and you were saying these things, but you didn't have anything to justify it. And when I've gone back for funerals and when it talks about the angels, and I'm thinking, this is all about spiritual. Can't they see that the two can link together? Very strange, very strange. Any more comments? Thank you, Veronica, for that. Jade, hi from America, welcome. Tina, lovely to meet you. Good evening. Rachel, hi. Lynn, welcome. Hasvel, okay, I agree, but also think that we are more apt to ask questions that we wouldn't have before in the years gone by. Absolutely. And that's because we've grown, we've actually know more, we've actually gone out and done our own homework, and we've also experienced different things to make us question whether or not religion is the way to go or should we follow spiritual. And I feel it depends on where you fit on your life path, definitely. Because I always say you're always guided to the right person, the right place, and the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day is when we've come down from the spirit world down to here, we've all got a job to do. The question is, are we tuned in enough to follow the path that we need to? Whether we follow the religious side or we stay to our spiritual side. And I look at the spiritual side of evolving from the religious side, because what we've got the bricks, the base, and the spiritual side allows us to climb even higher. What do you guys think? That's so true, but we may find challenges from other nations that are not as open-minded. I'm Catholic, but also spiritual. My Christian upbringing, like Stace, has given me morals and ideas. I totally agree. For me, as religion is a foundation, but if you look to other countries, they're a lot more stricter. It's almost if you divert from religion, it's almost as if it's frowned upon, and that's why sometimes it's hard for people to break away. They have to do things in secret, and that's because they're afraid. They feel by keeping people in religion they have control, and I do see religion sometimes as control. It's like you've got a certain mindset and you look at life in a certain way, and it just sometimes it shapes you in the right way. Other times it can sway you a little bit too much the other way. You could be too religious, too strict, and not allow yourself to evolve and embrace different things. Definitely, when you look at Mormon, being a Mormon, other religions have different aspects, but they are sort of like down, black and white. There's no middle bits. Hi, Gail. Although I disagree with the churches and stand LGBTQ plus and other things, yes, yeah, I totally understand. But the thing is, we are all born different, but we all have a faith or religion or a spiritual side. So it doesn't matter where we come from. We're just people at the end of the day, spiritual people. Hi, Steve. Any connection is still God's work or universe. Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't matter what you call it. As long as we come from that place of unconditional love, that's how we evolve. And in essence, that's what we are, love. And we should always remember that in anything that we do in life. Love is the key because that's what heals everything. That's what helps to nurture us and those around us. Hi, Veronica. I feel spiritualism gives us a deeper understanding of purpose of morals and consequence of personal level of breaches to those morals. Absolutely. As in the seven principles, personal responsibility. We have to take that about evolving our soul to ensure that we take ourselves up to the next level. And that's about understanding, and it's also about realizing that when we die, we just don't die. We evolve. We take our energy up to another level. Marcus, good evening, Marcus. Lovely to have you here tonight. Hello, hello, Brooklyn. Nice face mask. Hi, I believe everyone should be allowed to be themselves, no matter religion or culture. I find the spiritual side is more open to everyone. Yes, I totally agree to you, and I feel that's what's happening, because what you're finding in religion, that more of the churches now are starting to lose people, and I feel that because of the maybe strict guidelines or the dogma, that people are standing back from that, especially when you're finding in Catholic, because like people are gay or that they have same-sex religion. I always say we can't cast the first stone because we are not without sin. So for me, it's about loving everybody regardless. We are all spiritual loving people, and that's the premise we should start from. And spiritualism allows you to do that because it's all encompassing, all embracing, and for me that allows us to grow and evolve a lot more. Hi, Derek. How are you doing tonight? Hi, Tony. More believing in the afterlife. Absolutely. Because if anything, for me, joining the spiritual side, they have given me so much evidence that spirit is so close to us. We are all guided. The question is whether or not we're open to receive. It's not just me. Everybody can do this, but this is what spiritualism is all about, is being open to allow yourself and your ancestors to step forward to guide you, to open your mind and your heart to a greater understanding, and to know that there's so much more out there that we still don't know about. We're still babies evolving in this movement. There is so much more to come through if we allow ourselves to receive. I feel that is important. All through my Hi, Shirley. I used I used to be a fairly fundamental old Pentecostal. Things have changed, LOL. Absolutely, they have changed. Absolutely. I agree. But don't you feel now that's like the Christianity side is trying to be more Pentecostal? They're trying to bring in more upbeat. They're trying to allow themselves to let themselves go and see them dancing now. And I thought, wow, We never used to see that before, and it's almost as if they're trying to I suppose what they would call it, allow the spirit to come through, which is very unusual now because we used to be quite rigid and, but the songs are a lot more upbeat, a lot more catchy. So they're trying to draw more people in. And that's quite interesting to see because you'd never see that 15, 20, 30 years ago. Absolutely not. That would be frowned upon. So it shows that their religion is trying to change. It's trying to keep up with the times. It's trying to draw the younger in. And what I love about the good evening, Samantha. Welcome. And what I find is the young people have their own perspective on how they view life, and they're not going to let anybody cloud their judgment, which is what I love. And they're really a lot more receptive than what we would have been maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. So I find that interesting as well. Hi Jade. Church when I was younger, I never knew about spiritual world really till the last 2 years. I will always believe in Jesus and our God. Absolutely. And that would go across the board, whatever religion or whatever you want to call him. And that's the premise of the thing, Jesus and God. God our Savior, our salvation. Absolutely. Thank you, Jade. Yeah, the church does for me gave me good roots. Know right from wrong. Love thy neighbor. Have compassion, have understanding. Try to be kinder to others. But it always made you feel that you couldn't go to another religion because you were born this religion. My mum's quite like that. She's a canon, actually. She's gone all the way up. And when I changed from the Christian side to the spiritual side, she was quite receptive. I was quite surprised because she's quite a staunch Christian. So with me changing over, it's like she understood where I was coming from once I explained to her what spiritual was. Definitely. And I noticed as well at work, my friends would say to me, no, you're not religious, you're more spiritual. So clearly they could see there was a change in me where I was evolving, being more open, being more receptive, especially to the spiritual side, because for me is that's the thing that really opened my eyes and opened my mind to so many possibilities that have gone on, and the experiences as well along the way. It's just so, oh, life changing. Definitely life changing. I would definitely say that. I mean, they have come and stepped in and protected me on so many occasions. Hi, Mary. I used to ask questions in junior school and be told that you had to believe what was told to you. I wanted to know more. Absolutely. It's almost as if they will shut you down. If you challenge them, it's like you can't change the narrative. This is what it is. And it's like put up and shut up. And for us as young people, that's not a good way to, because you want to know more, you want to probe, you want to understand, you want to know why this is. And it's a pity now that sometimes when you challenge actually priests, sometimes they feel a little bit uncomfortable when you ask certain questions because they don't know where to take it. Absolute. And that's it. It's all to do with the language. So, oh yeah, okay. So for me is where you get Catholic, Protestant. Um, it's all to do with language, but at the end of the day, the essence is it does come from a spiritual. If you look at the Christian side, when it talks the something of angels, and I'm thinking that's all spiritual. I feel it's all about the language. They're just putting a different name to it, and they're claiming it to be religion when in essence it's all about spiritual side. All of it is. It's just that they don't want to name it that way, especially when they talk about ascending and going up, and all spiritualism does is prove there is life after death. And it cuts across all religions because all of them open up to the spiritual side. They just don't say it. And that's the difference. Hi, Stace. Religion does have far too much judgment and exclusion. I totally agree. Within its so-called code of conduct, where spirituality is all about embracing all cultures, genders, and sexualities. Absolutely. And that's the word exclusion, because nobody should exclude anybody. Again, this is casting the first stone. Nobody is judge and jury. We answer to a higher calling, and man can't do that. And that's why that's why I feel some people have stepped away from religion, because of that very reason, exclusion. And it's so uncomfortable, especially when the Catholic Church had that friction about gay marriage. I mean, love is love, no matter whether you agree with it or not. It's still love. And if two people want to share that experience and live together, who are we to judge them? That's their life. No, no. Hi, hi. How? Yeah, we're very well, thank you, Louise. Louisa, thank you. We're all very well, thank you. Yeah. Hi, Steve. I don't follow spirituality, but I am spiritual. Oneness is the cure, working from the heart. Absolutely. So you don't necessarily have to follow spirituality. For me, no, I feel it's good to have an understanding of what spirituality is all about, but you don't necessarily have to follow it, as long as you have an understanding of your perception of what spiritual is, and you're coming from that place of unconditional love, i.e. the heart. That's just as good. Just as good. It works. Tony, I'm a Roman Catholic and a massive believer in the afterlife. Whether we believe or not, our spirit guide will always guide us in the right direction. Absolutely. I totally agree. As I was saying before, my spirit guides have definitely saved my life on a couple of occasions. So wherever I go, I know my spirit guides are with me, as I can sense them here tonight as well. But yeah, and that's where you come from, that place of unconditional love. I feel that's when your spirit guides kick in. This is where they step to guide you. That's where you always get that little voice that points you in the right direction, or tells you when something's not quite right, or somebody's telling you something and something inside you is saying, no, you need to back away from this. You are always guided. And I feel as long as you come from that place of unconditional love and not want to harm anybody, spirit will always be there to point you in the right direction. I feel that's the most important thing, definitely. And not also that, I also believe that you don't have to go to a church or a place specifically to connect to God, to Jesus. For me, he's always been inside us. Hi, Heidi. I don't really consider myself to follow any religion. I find most of them interesting, but I have no real idea about religion. I do believe in spirit, but do not see it as a religion for me. That's absolutely fine, but at least you embrace it, and that's the main thing. Religion could be, I don't know, it could be quite divisive at time, and that word does put people slightly off. So I understand where you're coming from with that, Heidi. Definitely. But as I was saying, hi, Joanne. Okay, yeah, and what I also find is you don't have to go to a religious place, in order to connect with God, because like you said, God is within us. We are the God-like church. So by going within, we allow God to come within us. We don't have to go to a place in order to have that union. I do understand in the spiritual side where we give evidence of life after death, but when we want to pray, we can do that within ourselves because we are godlike. Definitely is there. Joanne, I find with churches they have a box, but there is a tendency not to look deeper into how they are able to grow more. They tend to stagnate. Although I do respect the church, but there is so much more. Absolutely. And you know, like my mum was saying, with some of the churches now they've had this COVID since, you know, nobody's going in there. It feels as if, you know, the older generation is being abandoned. Nobody's reaching out to them yet. But if they went into the church, they're looking for their collection boxes to be packed, but they're not taking care of the parishioners that go there, and that's what makes it sad. And I do feel that's why some people are pulling away from the churches, because now you pay by credit card. I mean, who would have believed it that you going into a church now and you could pay by credit card? Something's not right there. Something's definitely not right there. It just seems like religion is coming more like money. It seems like an organization, a business. Hi, Natasha. Hello. First time on. How are you? I'm very well, Natasha. Lovely to meet you tonight. But yeah, I just feel religion is not going in the way it's supposed to. It's supposed to be about caring for the people who go into these places. You're supposed to be offering spiritual counseling, being supportive, especially those who are grieving, those who are struggling with bad health. You're supposed to be there to be that listening ear, to hold that hand, and to help them get on to the next level. Thank you, Marcus. Unfortunately, some religions believe spiritual gifts are freely given after being baptized into that particular religion, when in reality our spiritual abilities are freely available. Absolutely, absolutely. And being baptized, I found being not baptized, but when I was able to have the bread and the wine, I found that quite I don't know, quite profound, especially the things when they used to say to you, "This is the blood of Christ," and eat his flesh, and that didn't make sit well. Communion, that's it. That went out my head then. The communion side, I felt the words leading up to that didn't sit right to me, because why would you eat somebody's flesh? Why would you want to drink somebody's blood? That doesn't sit. Vampires. Yeah, that doesn't sit well with me, because that's kind of language I don't think that God or Jesus Christ would have wanted us to do. That it doesn't sit well. What does anybody else feel about that kind of language regarding communion? And I do feel at one point I stopped. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Yeah, I found taking communion, I had to stop because it just didn't sit well with, and that didn't go down very well with my mum either. Hi, Helen. Religion has turned into a business. Absolutely. It doesn't seem like it cares for people. All they seem to want is the money. And I even found out as well, now they're asking you to sign, you know, put them in your will, sign your house over, sign your possessions over to the church. Thank you, Samantha. Religion is a belief, and you will enter the next life. Spirituality is believing in the afterlife. They connect through, I think, people or having more experiences spiritually, which enhances belief. Yeah, but if you think about the afterlife, that's going back more to the pyramid times, where you thought about the pharaohs in a way, because they had high priestess who were able to connect to the afterlife. Definitely, yeah, I understand where you're coming from with that, Samantha. Absolutely. Spirituality does enhance belief because it's the experiences that make you realize that there's more going out into the world than what we tap in. So embracing a religion or spirituality enhances that experience of realizing there is a higher purpose in life, there is a higher source that's, you know, waiting to communicate to us. It's not about us being insular, it's about us being outward, being more outward, reaching out to others, being more supportive, instead of thinking that um, thinking that we are a small entity, you know, regardless of where we live in the world. More than anything, what's going on in the world, it makes us realize we are more connected more than ever. The world is getting smaller and we should embrace it even more. Good evening, Haley. How are you doing? Yeah, so hi. Hi, Leanne. So for us is so for us is we've got to really think about where we actually stand in life, in terms of where we talk about a faith, a religion, or a spiritual side, because each has its own qualities, and some are stronger than others, and others are losing, where you're having people struggling with their religion because sometimes religion is not giving them all that they need. And then you have people who come to the spiritual side that gives them all of the answers. Thank you, Julie. When I have been to the spiritualist church, the feeling I got so hard to describe. I felt warm, comfortable, relaxed, never felt anything like it. Absolutely. And that's how I felt, Julie, when I first went into my first spiritualist church. Didn't know what to expect, but as soon as I sat down, I knew I found my place. I knew this was where I was meant to be. I felt this was my path. You just had this overwhelming feeling that you've arrived. You knew where you were, and you knew that what you were hearing is what you needed to hear, and what was spirit giving you, that even, you know, amplified it and sort of like seal the deal for me to say this is where I'm meant to be. Absolutely, I agree with you, Julie, with that. Definitely, it is a fantastic feeling, especially the spiritual hug that you get as well when you get in there. I find that really, really comforting. Definitely. And for those who are grieving, especially on the spiritual side, when you go into a spiritual church and somebody gives you information that you would never, they wouldn't possibly know, it makes you realize there truly is life after death. And I feel that's really important for a lot of us to realize that you do go onto a higher plane. It just doesn't stop. The body may decompose, but your energy, your spiritual side lives on, and we are always protected. We are never alone here on the earth plane. And I feel that's comforting to everybody who's lost somebody in life. Definitely. Hi, Gail. I never looked anywhere other than the church until my husband died last year. I'm so sorry, Gail. Then I found myself searching and found a spiritualism. Church gives me comfort, spiritualism gives me a greater knowledge. Absolutely. And I'm sure getting messages from your husband also helps you. And that's what it's all about, because, you know, the church has its calling, but when we're needing confirmation and validation that our loved ones have crossed over and going to the other side, that's where spiritualism steps in to give us comfort, because not all of us can keep moving forward. We just want some confirmation and reassurances that our loved ones continue to watch over us. I also feel with you, Gail. Yeah, yeah. Spirit seems to be quite strong with you, so you ought to think about opening up your spiritual side for sure. Definitely, when it comes to spiritualism, I definitely feel there's a call in there, Gail. Hi, Heather. Hope you're doing well. Definitely stand up to cancer. Absolutely. Thank you, Tina. That's what I always say, Stace. I don't have to go to a building to prove I am a good person, because most of the people go to church for show as they think it makes them look good to others. Absolutely. And isn't that quite funny you've said that, Tina? Because what you normally find, those going to the churches, sometimes they're not always the nicest of people. Yes, yeah, I would say sometimes that's my opinion, but sometimes you will get them that they like to give an image, but when it comes to actual doing the deed, they are the ones who seem to fall short. And the ones who don't go to church are the ones that are more loving, more compassionate, more understanding, more supportive of others. And I find that really strange, because why? And that's what used to, you've just reminded me, that's what used to annoy me, because it's like all the ladies out in the big hats and the nice suits, but you could hear them, bad mouthing this person or saying this. And I'm thinking, well, didn't you just come to church to say X, Y, Z, or Z? And then you're turning around. That doesn't make sense. Why would you, you're trying to show people or demonstrate that you're understanding, what the Bible is all about, and engaging that and wanting to show a different side of you, but yet you're no better than anybody else. That, I find that really strange. For me, that's really disappointing. I totally get that, Tina. I really, really do. And that's the thing. When you put yourself on a pedestal, sometimes you have to really put in the work. I always say, I'm not perfect, but those who put themselves as perfection, you always find that they have some scars or there are some cracks. For me, is we are people first. Nobody's perfect. But I feel the beautiful thing is acknowledging your imperfections, because it shows you're willing to work to make that better, instead of trying to portray that you haven't got any faults. That's a sad thing. That is a sad thing. And definitely when you go and point fingers at others where you shouldn't be pointing them, that's not right either. So yeah, totally get that, Tina. Absolutely agree with that comment as well. Tony, why are there no spiritual psychics in churches on a Sunday or at a funeral? Someone who can give readings to those who attend. Well, Tony, all churches, not just spiritual church. Unfortunately, with churches, they give psychics or spiritual people, they look at us, they're trying to tar us with a brush that makes us feel that we're not coming from that place of unconditional love. And the thing is, what they fail to realize, Jesus was a healer, he was a psychic, he was a medium. So for us is, we come from that place where messages need to be brought, but the church would not allow that, because that's changing the narrative. And not only that, I don't feel it's right to do that in a church when you're attending a funeral. There's always a time and a place, and spirit will always set when that time is right. And to be fair, those going through that, they wouldn't be ready to receive. So I would always say they should have a contact number when that person is ready to do that, but not when they have a service or anything like that. That wouldn't be appropriate. I just feel there's a time and place, and spirit will always set when that time is right, and it will always depend when the loved ones are ready to receive, to be fair. Thank you for your question there, Helen. Church follows a book, and spiritual churches follow the spirit, soul, and love. Yeah, they do follow the book. And the problem is, with that book, we're not sure if it's been translated in the correct way, because, I've been looking into that, and they've been saying there's quite a few bits that have been chopped out of the Bible. It's not actually incorrect, because if you look at it, it's been changed for thousands and thousands of years. And what we need to do is go back to the Catholic Church, because they've actually got the true translation of the Bible, but they've kept that under lock and key. So we're not sure if we're going to to see what it actually says, because for me, some of the rumblings are saying is that it actually shows there's a spiritual side to it. So we'll have to wait and see if we get a true version. So the book is not always correct. The book for me, is a form of control. Thou shalt, it gives you rules and conditions. It tells you what to do. It doesn't allow you to have that free will to make that decision. It tells you what to do. The spiritual side will say to you, it's personal responsibility. You have to take responsibility for everything that you do in life. You cannot turn around and blame anybody else. You have to own it. Whereas the church will dictate to you. So for me, is that there's the two sides of that coin, being dictated to, but on the spiritual side, by taking responsibility and owning it and not blaming anybody else for your own actions, because you're the one who's evolving your soul. Nobody else can do that for you. So that's where I feel the church and the spiritual side don't quite gel well together. Definitely, for sure. Hi, Catherine. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so hi, Heidi. Yeah, and that's where the book and the free will. I call the spiritual side the free will, because you can question, you can challenge, you can ask as many questions as you can, but you could also go within and ask spirit how you feel, because for me is the God-like within will always guide you in the right direction. If something feels right, you just know it instantly that this is where it's meant to be. And that's why sometimes you have that argument between heart and head. For me, the head is always the fear, never ever live in fear, because when you live in fear, remember the universe is a living organism and it's always listening to our thoughts and emotions. So when we send fear out, we get fear back. But if we listen to the heart, that's where we're grounded. That comes from our ancestors, that comes from God, and that comes from that place of unconditional love. And because sometimes when we don't love ourselves enough, we sometimes feel that we're not worthy. And that's why we question when we get something positive back. We think, really, do you really think that? Do you think that's going to happen? So for me, is we've got to come from the fear and come down to the heart, because when we come from the heart, that's coming from God, because he loves us and he wants the best for us. We've got to just understand that we are deserving of it, no matter what's gone on in our life, because he always wants to give everybody a chance to move forward. And again, this is your allowing your spiritual side to embrace it, to follow it, than rather let the conditional side stop you being afraid. I feel there's a lot of mixed messages there. Heidi, and depending who reads that book depends on its, absolutely, and that's the key, the interpretation, because two different, a Pentecostal priest and a Christian priest can read the same text, but the Pentecostal priest will give a different stance on it, and the Christian priest can give a more melancholy. So it is a bound to interpretation, but at the end of the day, the person who's listening to it, what resonates to you, what feels right to you, is which interpretation you're going to take. Or you may decide, you know what, I don't believe any of you, I'm going to trust my own counsel. So it for me is, again, you shouldn't have something down to interpretation. It should be something that feels right to you, that you know in your heart is where you need to be. Again, that's relying on somebody else's um understanding of what they think you should know, than rather you deciphering it within yourself, within your own consciousness, to make that decision. So again, that's wrestling. That's wrestling. Whose interpretation is right? Yes. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah. So for me, it's always, for me, is where you hear truth, it resonates, it vibrates. It's like you can't deny it. Just feels, yeah, I know exactly where they're coming from. When something is coming from, hi Lacey, when something is coming from a place of uncertainty, a place that a place that doesn't feel right, then that's when you need to stop and think. You don't have to agree what the book says. It doesn't, just because it's the Bible, it doesn't make it black and white, because that, as I said before, we don't actually, that's been interpreted so many times over the years. We don't know if they've kept it entirety or the essence of it. So we have to challenge that. Thank you, Shirley. I also used to be a church secretary, so I understand why the offering plate needs to go around the congregation. Bills and salaries need paying, but then we see a shed load of gold in the Vatican. That doesn't bode well. Absolutely, it doesn't bode well. And they've got some questionable things in the Vatican as well, especially in some new parts as well. They've got their own bank. Which church has their own bank? That's another questionable thing as well. The Vatican's got its own bank. They seem to be a lot more orientated, and no disrespect to the Catholic, but they seem to be a lot more challenging in terms as they want their followers to do as they say, not what they do. For me, from my opinion, what made me sad about the Catholic religion was when they were talking about contraception, and I was thinking about the third world countries where they had so many babies, and not only that, in the poorer regions where they don't have enough money to feed those children. I know that they see children as uh, a prosperity of having those children, but for me, when religion is saying to them that you can't take contraception, but yet they're doing nothing to help, that breaks my heart. That's where, for me and the Catholic Church has a bit of a confrontation, because they're not doing anything to help those people who have more than two children. Definitely, that upsets me. Oh, thank you, Helen. Thank you, Helen. That really upsets me, because at the end of the day, if the church is giving those kind of directives, then I feel they need to step in to help those people who are having those multiple children, because not everybody can support 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids. Amanda, oh, hi, Amanda. Oh, thank you. Lovely to see you too, Amanda. Yeah, not everybody can has the income to support those children, and for me, I found that really upsetting. Catherine, what's different between spiritual work and the New Age religion? Hmm. For me, it's just a title. We're still doing the same thing. Like most things, everything gets rebranded, but it's still the same work. You just got it under a different title, Catherine. That's the way I view it. As with most things, they keep rebranding everything, but it's still the same thing, but they just call it a different name. Stace, I was going to mention the contraception issue, Bernicia, in relation to the risks of AIDS and HIV. Absolutely, absolutely. But again, when the church is giving its teachings, it doesn't take into considerations all of those things. And also think about all those people in the Catholic religion that would have been ostracized because they were gay, because they were seen as sinners, even back in the day when people were divorced. You know, they were made to feel ostracized out of the church. It for me is sometimes a church causes more problem. It creates more problems than it needs to, and it's not bringing everybody moving together, moving forward, as in terms of things happen in life. We always go in the intention that thinking that we're going to be with that same partner, and things just change. People change, life changes, but the church should also always try to keep everybody together instead of putting people in boxes. Don't like that. Feel it's really uncomfortable. It makes those in that religion want to stay away from it. Hi, Jan. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's making people not want to be in that religion because it makes them feel that the church or the religion, they don't have a place because their box is not there. Their box has been taken away. Nobody should be in a box. As I said before, we should be all loving. Human humankind comes from that place of love, and there shouldn't be boxes. Love is love. We are who we are. We can't change that. So why should religion turn around and make us feel uncomfortable? Samantha, religion is a belief and you will enter the next life. Spirituality is believing in the afterlife they connect through. I think people are having more experiences spiritually with enhances belief. Yeah, and I do feel as I do feel since I started back in 2009 to now, I do feel that the spiritual side or spirits are a lot more closer. And I do feel from the earth plane and the spirit plane that veil is getting thinner and thinner, and a lot more people are having those spiritual experiences. Even people are capturing them on their cameras, definitely. And for me, is spirit is really, really close because we are more open, a lot more open than we have done, and people are more accepting of the spiritual side. Maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about this. This would be like a secret society talking behind closed doors and not being out. But as the time goes on, people have started to embrace, people have had positive experience from the spiritual side, and that's why it's more accepting, that's why it's more in the open. Thank you, Mary. The excommunicated people from the Catholic Church, as they were deemed to have done something exceedingly, yeah, I know. And isn't that really strange that they are excluding when those some of those members in the church, some of the priests have not always stood there with clean hands. So it, for me, that's really, really strange. Those who are dictating are the ones who are doing the wrong, and those who are congregating are made to feel worse. So again, that is really, really strange. But for me, is at the end of the day, it should be up to every human being to decide what suits them, because at the end of the day there is a place for everybody, religion as well as the spiritual side. You normally find it's the older generation, my mum's generation, who will definitely go more for religion. The younger people are more open and receptive to new things, for a new way of thinking, a new way of being, and being more open to see what comes through, which I find a lot more exciting for me, definitely. Valerie, my late grandmother reckoned the Maccabee was the true Bible. I tell my friends I'm a spiritualist and they advise me to stop worshiping, oh dear, the devil and put on the armor of God. I tell them that Jesus was the greatest spiritualist healer. Absolutely, Valerie, I totally agree. And that is the thing that the religious side try to debunk the spiritual side, to say that we worship the devil. I don't worship the devil. I come from that place of unconditional love. There are others who specifically go down that way, but from the spiritual side, for me, I believe in God. I believe in the angels. I don't deal with the devil. That's one thing I will not go down. And for me, that's just a cheap shot from any religious side to say that, because the devil is a dark place, and for me, is God is my salvation. He is my heart. Why would I want to worship the devil? That's just wrong. And for me, is that's not true. So yeah, definitely yeah, stop worship. Yeah, we always get that, but that is because they're ignorant. They've not took their time to look into what spiritualism is all about, and that's just their way of trying to debunk the spiritual side. So I would take that with a pinch of salt and just smile and walk away. Definitely. Samantha, for me, my religion is the bed and spirituality and blanket. Yeah, yeah, don't blame you. I support that. Absolutely support that. Definitely. So, as you can see, there's different views, different perspective of how religion tries to attack spirituality, where spirituality would say that religion has helped them to give them their foundation, but they've expanded and built upon it and got even stronger and better than they could ever imagine. And for me, is being on my spiritual side has made my faith so much more stronger, so much more stronger. Julie, absolutely being happy is the main thing in life. Absolutely. As long as you're content, you're happy, you do no wrong to others, and you go out in life being positive, upbeat, and coming from that place of unconditional love. Who needs anything else? Who needs anything else? Sonia, it's my late father's birthday today and lights are flashing. Is that the sign of my... Okay, that is definitely letting you know that your father is there for you and he's acknowledging that he's around you. And as I say that to you, it wouldn't surprise me at home there may be a room that may be a little bit colder, but that is a sign from spirit to say that thank you for thinking of me on my birthday and I am here with you. So that's beautiful. See, again, that's the spiritual side. Spirit is coming through to let you know that they're there. So yes, that is a sign. Thank you for letting me know, Sonia. Hi, Starla. First time here. Very interesting. Glad I was curious. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I hope the topic has interested others, but I feel it's a topic worth talking about because when you see more and more churches being sold off and more people are stepping away, you have to stop and think, well, there is a shift. There is a mindset that has shift that religion is not fulfilling or it's not making people feel complete or satisfied with the information that's been given, and people are now stepping away from religion and turning to the alternative, the spiritual side or the new age side. Starla, first, yeah, to the new age side. So for me, is people are searching for more, and that's what happened to me. I just felt there was more to life. It wasn't as black and white as what we thought it was. I always felt there was more, and yes, lo and behold, there is a whole lot more. So everybody has their time in terms of when they want to come out of that box and start looking to see what's out there. Because as I say, spirit always has a purpose for everybody on this planet. It just depends when you're ready to embrace it, when you're ready to take that leap of faith and walk down that path. That's what life is all about. It's all about a journey, and on that journey you'll meet people, you will experience different things, but it will make you think that there is more to life than just life and death. There's so much in between, and that's what we're here on the earth plane to do, to ascend. We are here to have we're spiritual beings having an earthly experience, and everything is about a journey, and all the experiences that we go through, we grow and we learn and we evolve, and that's what makes us unique from one another, because all our experiences are different, and as they're all different, as we come together, we share our experiences and therefore evolve others, and we exchange our experiences, and that helps us to be better people and navigate through life so much better than we have done before, but also having a better understanding of who we are and the people that we meet on the path. That's what life is all about. Being open, being honest, and following the path. Thank you, Dee. Jesus was the master medium and healer. He was here to teach unconditional love and the law of free will. Absolutely, Dee. Religion was man-made in order to control and indoctrinate. I absolutely agree, especially when you look at it when they went out to African countries and out to the Caribbean. They did the same thing. They indoctrinate us, and that's why you find in the older people that they stick to what the Bible says, whereas as you come up to the younger generation, they challenge the Bible, because some of it doesn't make sense. People are starting to decipher that. Indoctrine means they wanted to control the masses. They wanted them to know that there was a consequences for their actions. If you didn't do this, then the devil, God will come down and strike you dead. If da 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 and da da, kept putting these kind of pressure, these kind of fear to get you to conform, to get you to control you. And that's why religion, I feel, in the 20th century is starting to lose its grip, because people now are challenging the narrative. And why are we dictated to? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Why do we have to do it this way? And these are the questions that the young people are asking, because they're letting their mind expand. Because so far as they're concerned, we should be able to do what we should do within reason. We shouldn't be controlled in that way. We shouldn't allow people to make us live in fear. And sometimes that's what religion does, unfortunately. So I do agree with you, Dee, with what you've just said there. Absolutely. They are indoctrinated, and it is a form of control. Absolutely. You could take that from the Catholic side quite strong, and some other religions as well that come in that parameter of control and indoctrinated. But it's down to the individual to see that and for them to work that through, for sure. Samantha, loss, heartbreak, illness, bereavements can take you to your religious beliefs and your spiritual beliefs. Yeah, absolutely. And I do feel it's when you go through trauma or some sort of upset, I feel that's where religion and your spiritual side actually comes in. And sometimes when you get a mass shooting or somebody killed unnecessarily, this is where religion and spirituality comes in. And that's where people start to ask questions, if there is a God, why would he let that happen? But for me, this is not God. This is about taking personal responsibility, because this is somebody who's decided to go out and do something bad to another. This is not God. This is man. So how can we blame God for something that man has decided to do? Personal responsibility again. Personal responsibility. So, we have to start looking at things a lot more logically and having a greater understanding why certain things happen. There's always about cause and effect. Always about cause and effects, and we shouldn't always turn around and blame the man in the sky or blame religion for X, Y, Z, and Z. We've also got our part to play for some of the wrongs that have been done on the earth plane. It's not all about God. It's not all about spirituality. It's about man. Good evening, Alison. Lovely to meet you. Terry, good evening to you as well. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so Julie, just over 100 years ago, spiritualists thought they were on the brink of a new revelation. We're now on the same brink, need to keep the momentum going. Absolutely. And I do feel, for me, is that the momentum will keep going, because the children who are born now, they are indigo children. They have been here before. They are more evolved than the children that were born maybe 30 or 40 years ago. They are quick. They come from that place of unconditional love, and they seem to be very tuned in, definitely about the planet problems, also about loving others, not seeing colors. For me, it's the only where they change is where they've had learnt behavior, but in essence they are innocent. They see people as people. They don't have any differences. The only where they change is where life and society and its influences change how they interact with others. That's the difference I find with children. They are very bright, very clued on, don't miss anything. They see something that it's not right. I remember my grandson, he was about five or six. We're walking through this estate, and he heard these kids swearing, and he stood up you know, shouted dead loud, stop swearing. I looked at it and think, oh my goodness, where did you get that from? So for me, it's like these indigo kids are not afraid to say how they feel, or if something's not right, you know, say something. And that's very unusual for kids to move. So indigo children, I feel, are going to make a difference in the world. Pamela, good evening. Thank you. Richard and Bernicia and everyone in the chat. Yeah, hi, Pamela. Lovely to meet you. So I definitely feel the kids born here have definitely been here before, but they are here to teach us, to help us evolve and also start saving the planet and the animals. But not only that, try to be much more kind, loving and supportive, not only of ourselves, but everyone around us. Hi, Tim. Whilst I am a spiritualist, let's not be confused. Mediumship and spirit communication is not just for spiritualists or religious people. There are mediums in the walks of life. Absolutely, there's all types of mediums. There are people who don't work as mediums but still give out messages. Yeah, they don't have to be in spiritualist churches. It could be anywhere that you go that somebody may give you a message, or somebody feels compelled to deliver something but not sure why they're saying it to you. So in a way, we are all mediums in the making. The question is, do we have the leap of faith to actually go out there and say what we need to say? So yeah, we've all got this gift. You know, it's not just a special person. We've all been born with this. The question or not, whether or not we want to unlock that key and let that spiritual side out, the medium side of us, the psychic side of us. We are all gifted. The question is, who's willing to take up the baton and run with it? That's the thing. That's the thing. We've all got, and we're all psychic in a way, because we can all connect. We sometimes get vivid or varied dreams, or we sometimes feel that, oh, I don't feel comfortable going down this way, or we meet people that we just don't like and we don't know why. We've never met them, but we feel uncomfortable. So for me, is all of us have got this gift. We've just got to trust it, come from the heart center, and allow it to come out naturally. Because for me, is spirit will always guide you. As long as that heart is open, they will always lead the way. So for me, is I don't see myself as special. We're all special. The question is whether or not we allow that special side to come out. Dare to be different. That's what I say. Dare to be different. Amy, do you believe when we are born, we already have our time to leave? Yeah, I do believe that. I feel when we come to the earth plane, we all have a job to do. And the question is, when the job gets done, that's when it's time to leave. Definitely. You know, we're all here for a purpose. We've got to find what that is. And that's where we allowed our spiritual side at a certain age. I wouldn't say at an age, I would say at a time, because it depends how long it takes you to get there. That's my opinion.
You are done, young lady.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I can hear myself.
Okay then. Tomorrow morning it's going to be guided meditation with Leslie Knight, and that starts at 11:30 tomorrow AM on Spiritual Psychic TV. So I hope you all tune in to that, and I'm sure you'll have a fantastic time with Leslie Knight tomorrow. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you for your Sorry, and also we've got Around the Table with Richard and guests starting from 8 p.m. tomorrow. I hope you'll also tune into that as well. Okay, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today, and I hope the topic was interesting, and thank you all for your comments. Much appreciated. It made the night flow just to hear your point of view. and I'll bid you all good night. Good night. Oh, are we off now? Okay. Thank you, Bidder. It's been an amazing show and a great topic. Love and blessings. Love and blessings to you, Stacey. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Joanne, it's been absolutely amazing. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it, Joanne. Thank you for joining us tonight. Judy, thank you to you. Thank you. Blessings to all of you. Kelly, thanks for a lovely evening. Thank you, Kelly, for joining in. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Joanne. Tony, thank you. Good night. Have a good one. Tina, thank you so much, Bernice, for a wonderful evening. It's been amazing. Thank you, Tina, for joining. Thank you. I appreciate it. Samantha, thank you. Yes, you were wonderful too. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, bless. Hastala, bless you. Good night, all. God bless. Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate it.